What are we talking about today? Let's see. All right. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Grant's Talks. So, it's really been on my heart lately to speak about what's been going on in my own life. I feel like most people want to talk about themselves, but this isn't so much that. I'm not really talking about myself. I'm talking about the things that I've done to improve myself and how you can do that as well. You can free yourself from addiction. It's very possible. It's not as hard as you think. It's really not. You can increase your self-image to the point where you become so ambitious to do something that instead of sitting there and thinking about it, you go out and do it. Doesn't that sound great? Because we all know that when you sit around and you think about doing something, each moment that you sit there, you start feeling lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Until you come to a realization in your thinking and you say, wow, what if I went and did that? And then you're on high again. And then you sit there and you start going lower and lower with each moment that passes. Next moment, next moment, next moment, next hour, next hour, next hour, the next week, the next week, and the next week, and then a month, and the next month, and then the next month, and then a year, and then another year. And eventually, you're sitting there in your 9-to-5 job, or maybe you're sitting there, you don't even have a job. And it's just like, what am I doing, man? This isn't fulfilling. Like, what is this? I feel like a machine that's just in this big computer that's pumping out progress and, new materials to entertain the masses, which is me, oddly enough. And now I'm just like this cog in a big complex gulag. Ah! And then you're just wondering, will this ever change? Can I go somewhere new? Life. What is going on? This isn't life. God, why have you forsaken me? But God hasn't forsaken you. God hasn't forsaken you, guys. God's been waiting for you. God has been waiting for you. I'm telling you the truth. Because it's like this. What am I doing here? I'm not thinking. I may be thinking, but I'm thinking in the moment. I'm not waiting. It may take time for me to finish this talk, but I'm in the moment. I'm not waiting for myself to spontaneously, randomly go about somewhere else in the universe and make things happen. I'm in that somewhere else in the universe right now, and I am making things happen. I'm talking to this camera. And who's on the other side of that camera? You. You're on the other side of the camera. And I'm talking to you. Yes, I am. And I'm here today to tell you that you can do whatever you want to do. Thank you everyone for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Welcome to my daily talks. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but welcome everybody. It's been a pleasure. Alright. So, the topic I really want to get on right now is the topic of addiction. So when you're addicted to something, be it marijuana, be it cigarettes, be it alcohol, be it porn, maybe mashed potatoes, like iced tea, I don't know, man. Video games. It's releasing dopamine in your brain, that activity that you want to do over and over and over and over again. And you're getting an intense amount of satisfaction from it. At some point, that intense amount of satisfaction, that dopamine that's released in your brain, begins to slow down a little bit. Because, maybe the same amount of dopamine is being released. Maybe there's a smaller amount of dopamine being released over prolonged use. But whatever is happening after that constant motion of doing whatever you're doing, it starts to kind of fade away into not satisfying. It is no longer satisfying. It becomes kind of drudgery. It feels like you have to do it. Just because. Just because. And not only just because, but for the sole reason that you have programmed your mind to live on that peculiar supply, that peculiar number of surges of dopamine to flow at those peculiar times in the day. It's ingrained in your subconscious mind as habit. And maybe you don't even enjoy it anymore when you do it. But say you ran away from it for a while, and now you want to come back to it. Well, what now? You get back to it and you smoke again after a month. You quit. You quit for a month. Quit smoking cigarettes for a month. You come back to it at the end of the month and you say, oh, that is good. Why? Because you didn't really change anything in your brain. You just held it off. Sheer force of will, you just stopped smoking and instead you did something else to satisfy yourself. You ate a bunch of food. You ate a bunch of ice cream. You ate a bunch of candy. You slept a bunch more. You played more video games instead, which is also addicting. You drank more beers than usual. Something, I don't know. But whatever it is that you're doing, you're proud that you've done it because you quit that one main thing in your life that is really bogging down in your mind. And then when you get back to it, you feel all down on yourself. And the cycle continues. So it's like some people get caught in this constant cycle of quitting, starting a habit, quitting, starting a habit, quitting, starting a habit again. Why? Because they never quit the habit in the first place. If your paradigm wants a surge, a paradigm is the patterns of thoughts and emotions and feelings and actions and habits that make up who you are. Now, if who you are desires a certain amount of dopamine each day, and you're getting that through cigarettes, but you stop cigarettes, you're going to move on to something else to fill that dopamine that you get every single day. You're going to move on to something else. I don't know what it is, but something you're doing is going to fill in that void of dopamine that you're not getting from the cigarettes. You're going to seek it out. You're going to be relentlessly seeking out the cigarette and telling yourself constantly to back down from it. And then you're going to constantly be going to looking for something else that'll fill that void of dopamine. So then you start the same habit, but in a different form. So what needs to happen, and how I have quit smoking, how I have quit marijuana, how I've quit all these things, is by replacing the habit, by speaking to my subconscious mind. Well, how do you speak to your subconscious mind? Simple enough. It's like Shakespeare. To be or not to be. Okay? That might not make sense to you. Grant, what are you saying? To be the smoker or not to be the smoker. Now look at it this way. I choose not to be the smoker. Now I have to choose something else that I can create in my imagination. This is where it starts to get crazy. Yes, you have to use your imagination to develop your intuition and your mind and your personality and everything about yourself, your character. It's crazy, I know. So, in my right hand, I can choose to be the smoker. My left hand, I can choose not to be the smoker. When I choose not to be the smoker, I have to look at my right hand again and I imagine, who do I really want to be? What do I really want? Because it's not the smoker that I'm looking at. It's the greatest real estate agent in the world that I'm looking at. The greatest inspirational speaker in the world that I'm looking at. Because you see, I've imagined that future for myself. And I can see that in my right hand. I have replaced the self-image of being a smoker, marijuana toker, drug addicted, broke down dude that's got, a crappy job he doesn't like, to imagine a completely different future for myself and saying, this is what I want to be. And what I want to be is the greatest real estate agent there's ever been in the face of planet Earth. What I want to be is the greatest inspirational speaker there's ever been in the face of planet Earth. And that's it. You have to replace the smoker with the greatest real estate agent in the face of planet Earth. That is my case. That is my scenario. It's going to be different for every one of y'all. It's going to be different for every one of y'all. But I see that the greatest real estate agent in the face of planet Earth, that man that I am now, that I desire to be in my mind and on Earth and in reality, he drinks water. You know what else he does? He breathes oxygen. You know what else he does? He speaks fairly. But you know what else he does? He's an aggressive MFer. And he's not going to stop until he gets what he wants, what he desires. You know? And what he desires is to live a life of purity. What he desires is to live a life full of joy. What he desires is to live a life full of greatness. What he desires is to help as many people as he possibly can get what they want, so he can get what he wants, so the whole world can have what they need and can live in a better place, can produce a better future for themselves in the now, in this moment, right now. That's that real estate agent. This real estate agent strives to be a man of virtue. I strive to do bigger things than I'm doing now. And I can see them in my mind so clearly, so vividly, that I can feel it. I can feel, smell, taste, touch. I can hear it, and I can sense it in my spirit. I strive to be that person that I have imagined. Because you know what? I refuse to let other people create my reality. I refuse to let anyone else, any other guy out there, any other woman out there, say that this truth that I am speaking from within me is wrong. I refuse to listen to them. I refuse to listen to anyone that tells me that I cannot do it. You know what, those people have nothing. They have nothing good to give. If you cannot support someone's dreams, if you cannot support what someone has imagined for themselves to create a better meaning more prosperous, fulfilling, joyful, happy, unsatisfied, and uncomfortable, because you don't want to live in comfort. You know, sometimes I like to say that I know everything, but that's just my ego talking. I don't know jack. Okay? I don't know jack about anything. But what I do know is what I know. Okay? And what I know is what I've just told you. Because ever since I have imagined my own self-image that I truly desire, I've gotten into a completely different vibration. Because all this law of attraction, all of these crazy, thought-provoking videos, they're not really telling you anything. They're saying, think this, think that. We know how to materialize money out of thin air, and you can do it by just imagining it's in your hands. No, guys, come on. Let's be practical here. We all know that doesn't happen. What happens is that you can imagine a greater life for yourself. And then you simply must know what to think and do. Okay? This is the very important part. Let me lay it down for you, okay? I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. Have you decided what you want? Do you know what you want? If that answer is yes, then I want you right now to imagine yourself in the environment with what you really want. I want you right now to imagine yourself using, feeling, knowing, understanding, being with what it is that you really want. Imagine how your life, exactly how would your life be if you had everything you wanted if you have everything you wanted, imagine it. Think about how beautiful and amazing, how full of life you would be, how careless your thoughts would be, but how grateful and how appreciative and how much you would adore people, how much you would adore yourself, how much you would love other people, and how much you would love yourself. How much greater your connection would be with God, God Almighty. If you didn't have all of these material things that you want stocking up your thoughts. If your mind was totally free and you had every single thing you've ever thought of that is beneficial to you and those around you, how would you feel? I would feel very good. I would feel just as good as I do now. Because that's the secret. You have to feel, you have to understand, you have to know that because you've imagined it and because you have the utmost faith and belief that you're moving in that direction, and that no other fears, no other doubts or worries could possibly get into your mind. The only thing that's on your mind is the greatest life you could possibly imagine. And you're going to that great life. You're going to that heaven on earth that you can imagine in your mind. And that's what creating a good life is all about, guys. Just think about it. If you could imagine yourself getting along with your family, just 100%. Just imagine what that would look like. Can you? Some of you probably can't imagine what it would look like to get along really well with your family. Why? Because you're so ingrained in the habits of getting emotional, getting ornery, getting frustrated, becoming withdrawn and moody and trying to control the situation with your animal behaviors, that you couldn't possibly have the time to imagine for yourself the kind of person that you want to be, to produce harmony, to produce joy, to produce faith, to produce belief, to produce happiness, to produce production in your lives and in the lives of your family. I'm talking about self-image, guys. This is self-image. If you want to change who you are now to become who you want to be in the future, you have to imagine exactly who you want to be in the future vividly, as deep as you can. Think as hard as you can, but let it flow to you. Because you can't force imagination. Imagination is something that flows. It's like to use your imagination inside of your head to produce the vivid scenes and a life for yourself. You have to let the thought power flow through your spirit into your mind and project out into the world. You have to, it's like turning water in your mind into solid clay, and then you're painting the clay. So for example, if I wanted to imagine a house, I just let the water, just let like the image of the landscape, of the colors of the house. I kind of, just let my mind select it, and then I produce the image of what I want, of what I desire, the big house I desire. And you just sit there like this, and you just imagine. Don't visualize. Know what you're gonna have. Know what you want, and then have that imagined thing that you know that you will have, and make that a goal in your life. To drive yourself to become, a better person. Like I'm imagining wide landscapes over the Western American plains, filled in with homes for children, and in between those homes there's a big church, and in that church we take care of those children, and we educate them, and we teach them as fatherly figures, as motherly figures that they have never had before, and we raise up new generations of children to lead upright lives. To lead educated lives, to lead lives that are beneficial to themselves, beneficial to others, because they give freely and they receive freely. That's what I'm imagining. That's the kind of future that I see in my mind. I see people teaching them how to hunt, like the old times. I see people teaching them how to farm. I see people teaching them how to do the things that they want to do because they've learned how to control their imaginations. They've imagined that life for themselves. And so they sought out that person that has done what they have done before. Yeah. Because they have sought out that person that has done what they want to do. And they learn from that person. And they imagine how they can be better at it. They imagine how much more they can do for the people around them, for their community, for the rest of the world. And they create something out of their lives that's worthwhile. Because, work, it's good. It's a good thing. You get satisfaction from it. You get fulfillment from it. You get to live off of your own movement that you produce from your body, with your hands, with your feet, with your mind, with your just anything that has to do with your spirit controlling your flesh. You're reaping the fruits of the Spirit. When you work. When you go to work, you plant seeds with your thoughts. You go to work on something, you're projecting energy outwards. So when you go to work on something, project the energy outwards that will bring you into that self-image that is necessary to fulfill the vision in your mind of the future that you want. Because if you want a lot of stuff, which is kind of pointless to want a lot of stuff, but if you want self-fulfillment, if you want joy in your own heart, if you want to put joy in other people's hearts, if you want to become a rock star, if you want to become a rapper, if you want to become the best at something, anything at all, you have to be willing to put in the time. You have to be fearless. You have to be fearless. And part of being fearless is reevaluating yourself and looking at what you're really doing right now. What you're really capable of right now. And thinking, how can I make myself more capable than I am right now so I can be capable to live in this vision that I have produced myself. That I have produced for myself. For the reason, this is important, that I produced for myself for the reason that I have produced for myself for the reason that I gave myself for this existence. What's your reason for living? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. This self-image I made to serve people, but not even really to serve people, to provide for people, to be a strong man in this world, to become the best real estate agent ever, to become a extraordinary salesman, the greatest salesman ever, to become the greatest inspirational speaker ever. I want other people to find fulfillment in their lives. I want other people to find joy in their lives. I want other people to know God like I know God. This self-image is more than just, oh yeah, imagine it because, no, the self-image is my reason for living.